In this week's headlines, an inferno rages at a Ukrainian oil depot for most of the week, with emergency teams still in high alert over the danger of more explosions. Washington digs deeper into Iraq, authorizing more military advisors after months of airstrikes failed to stop the rise of Islamic radicals. And protests in Austria as activists lash out at a gathering of the world's movers and shakers held behind closed doors and virtual media blackout. Plus, a video of Californians signing a prank petition to nuke Russia gets hundreds of thousands of hits online. RT conducts its own survey on the streets of Moscow. This is RT International coming to you live from Moscow. I'm Marina Joshi. Welcome to the program. Ukrainian emergency workers say that there's still a danger of explosions from the fire at an oil depot near Kiev. The fire has been raging for most of the week, killing 5 people and almost completely destroying the facility. As for now, the situation is contained, the authorities say, adding that a nearby military munitions warehouse is out of danger. The depot is located just 30 kilometers from the capital, where authorities are warning over a spike in dangerous particles in the air. Medical experts say they could cause anything from cancer to heart attacks to strokes. We asked a few specialists how real those dangers are for people's health.
It looks like it will be a significant environmental health problem. These fires like this, these oil fires, produce carbon nanoparticles, and they produce contamination with a lot of cancer-producing substances. We know that these carbon nanoparticles, the very small ones, they cause inflammation, which leads to heart attacks and strokes within about a week of the exposure.
Whenever you have hydrocarbons like this burning, they're releasing all sorts of carcinogenic substances, and the smoke particles themselves are toxic, and so yeah, there's the danger of exposure to what are potentially carcinogenic materials. Certainly there's the potential hazard to anyone that's close by that's engulfed by the smoke.
The Islamic State militants have reportedly killed at least 13 Iraqi soldiers in a triple suicide bombing attack. This happened in an army base near Fallujah, a city west of the capital, Baghdad. Earlier, the U.S. authorized 450 more military advisors to be sent to Iraq to help locals battle jihadists. But the Pentagon signaled it wants to push the involvement further. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff says the U.S. Army will sprout the so-called lily pads in Iraq, special bases for military training. And he says the Pentagon is looking into whether more of these hubs are needed to fight the extremists. But White House spokesman Josh Earnest says there are no such plans, adding that a large-scale ground operation is not on the table. For now, however, Washington decided to send more of its elite units from the 82nd Airborne Division. Now, this month marks a year since the jihadists began their sweeping takeover of Iraqi cities and villages. They now control large parts of the country neighboring Syria, too. So we asked Lawrence Wilkerson, the former chief of staff to then Secretary of State Colin Powell, if more U.S. troops in Iraq will help to turn the tide.
I personally don't think that any amount of advisors is going to be able to instill the kind of feeling, nationalist, whatever you want to call it, in the Iraqi military that will give it the kind of steel, the kind of backbone it needs to stand up to ISIS. I think it's going to guarantee a situation we've already seen develop in Iraq when American forces stayed way over their time, and a situation that we're looking at in Afghanistan where American forces are going to withdraw, and Afghanistan is more or less going to go back to the same war zone it was before the Americans ever arrived. So this is not a viable strategy. It's a murderous strategy. It's going to get young boys and young girls killed, and it's going to kill other people on the end of their weapons, and it's going to produce nothing.
And our team managed to get some insight into the motivation of those who decide to join Islamic State. Our correspondent Isa Ali spoke to two imprisoned ISIL members in Baghdad.
The rise of the Islamic State has plunged Iraq once more into a cycle of apocalyptic violence not seen since the height of the US occupation. As well as controlling huge swathes of territory in Iraq and also Syria, the militants are thought to have hundreds of sleeper cells operating inside Baghdad itself, causing a nightmare for the country's security forces. We are on our way to the facility which houses the 13th Regiment of the Ministry of Interior's police, and we're going to be interviewing some of the detainees they're holding there who have been fighting for the Islamic State. And we want to really try to get an idea of what exactly has motivated these men to sign up. These two men, Abu Bara and Abu Osama, are Sunni Muslims from Baghdad and were part of one such cell. Abu Osama is 27 years old. He says he was recruited into ISIL when he was in prison on petty crime charges. He rose to become a cell leader.
Abu
Bara used to be a teacher in a religious school when he was approached by a colleague about joining Islamic State. He joined after the fall of Mosul to the militants.
أنا كنت يعني بداية الأمر أنا سائق يعني ناقل أغراض أوصلها لأبو أسامة عبوات وهم يقومون تفجيرها يعني.
Like many young jihadist recruits, they saw Islamic State leader Abu Bakr Baghdadi as a visionary and a savior.
هو أبو بكر بغدادي كانوا يقولون أنهم يريدون يسوون دولة إسلامية تحكم الأرض كلها وهو خليفة يصير على المسلمين ويحكمون شرع الله.
A common tactic used by these sleeper cells is to send car bombs into primarily Shia neighborhoods. I asked them how they could justify the deaths of innocent people.
يعني هم كانوا إحنا علينا ننفذ الأوامر اللي ينطونها من هناك من فوق. هو غير مبرر يعني ولكن يعني هي كان إنه زعزعة الأمن.
يعني هو الأساس من يعني حتى زعزعة الوضع وإسقاط الحكومة يعني. بس هم يعني يجي أمر من هناك تخلون مثلا عبوات بالشوارع يستهدفون دوريات عسكرية فمرات تكون مدنيين متواجدين مثلا.
Abu Osama claims America is his real enemy.
والله بالنسبة للأمريكان هم دمرونا دمروا الشعوب كلها مو بس العراق وأنا إذا صارت لي فرصة يعني أقتل من الأمريكان أقتل منهم ما أتراجع ما أتندم.
But estimates say Islamic State have killed more than 17,000 civilians in Iraq. It is they, and not the US, who have borne the brunt of the militants' onslaught. Isa Ali, RT, in Baghdad.
Now, this is just